Welcome, everyone. We are the Sports Budz. This is another episode of the NFL show, our offseason thoughts on what's going on while we're waiting for football to start again. Joining me, as always, we've got Chris Billings and we've got Nick Kerr. How are you doing today, Chris?
Doing good. I was about to start talking about the NBA there for a second, and then I realized, oh yeah, this is an NFL show. So doing awesome. I'll give you a mile-high salute. Happy to be here.
Look at him. He's so happy after Russell Wilson got traded there. He doesn't even care about anything else. I'll go ahead and get back to Nick here. Maybe he knows a little bit more about what's going on with football. How are you doing today, Nick?
I'm doing good. I mean, I'm basically in the same boat as Chris right now because we've had everything that we wanted for this NFL offseason for our teams. And right now, I can't even look forward to the draft because Bump's got no draft picks. So I just
straight up, for once, I'm not praying that the draft goes well. I'm just
I can sit back and relax. Maybe the Dolphins got a bunch of draft capital next year. Maybe they'll try to move up. Who knows? But it's not worrying about who they're going to take in the first round this year.
Draft is like icing on the cake right now, man. Just.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's get into it.
So how are you doing, Tony?
Yes.
Tell us how are things going in Cowboy Land.
Look, let me tell you guys, things could definitely be better. So I'm going to let you know that after one move after the other, things could definitely be better. Looking forward to maybe making some good draft picks. They usually do that. But is it enough? I don't know. We'll find out. But I am interested to see how you guys think about what's happening with the wide receiver market in the NFL. And since Nick was so happy talking about how he doesn't have any draft picks because he traded them all for Tyreek Hill, and he's so happy. But it is interesting to me that his team did the exact same thing and traded all these draft picks to move up to get Jalen Waddle. So I don't really understand what really the value is. Our teams are focused on first round picks for wide receivers, or you just want to get that established pick. And Denver Broncos, all they've done is drafted wide receivers, right? Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, and they're paying their own. They don't want to go use their draft picks to go ahead and trade for a stud wide receiver like Tyreek Hill. So there's some pretty interesting strategies going on throughout the league that I was interested to hear and what you guys thought. We'll start out with Nick and his Dolphins.
I mean, Chris Greer has taken that McVay approach and saying, fuck them picks. Because if you really think about it, since the Laramie Tunsil trade, they have got a plethora of picks. And those picks just keep coming because last year when they did trade, they traded back from 3 to 12, gained picks, then moved back up to 6 to get Waddle, but they still gained picks, and most of those picks that were traded in the Tyreek Hill trade came from just trading back, but all rooted from the Laramie Tunsil trade. And right now, like I said before, they still got, I believe they have 12 picks as of right now in the 2023 draft, including 2 firsts. So they could make a move, moving back up in maybe trading their 3rd pick this year, trying to move further up in the 3rd round, maybe into the 2nd round.
Interesting. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna put on my tin hat right now. I think this all goes back to all this wide receiver fucking craziness. And the draft picks being traded around. Oh, it goes back to Bill O'Brien, bro. All the draft picks and shit that he gave away, man. People are just using all that capital that he traded away to them and getting these picks. But no, to be honest, it depends on the team and your strategy at the moment. For a team like Dolphins, makes perfect sense to go out and get Tyreek Hill. Whereas a team like the Broncos, no, it doesn't make sense to go out and get a free agent wide receiver right now. No matter who's out there, even just yeah, whether it's Debo, whether it's DK Metcalf, like it just doesn't make sense for the Broncos. Whereas other teams makes perfect sense to go out there and get that guy. But to me, like I just think like the wide receiver market's a little oversaturated. Like this goes back to the days when me and you played fantasy football, which is for dorks. Side note, don't do that. Bet like a man. But yeah, like just why that right there just proved to me that wide receivers kind of are just a dime a dozen. That and it has proven out over the years that just like, hey man, next guy up can just come in and blow it away and blow the doors off. To bring back an old expression, blow the doors off a team. And so yeah, it really depends on your team's situation at the moment. But like, yeah, I definitely think there are teams out there that are definitely overpaying for wide receivers. The Jags.
Yes. They're the
And
ones that really started that whole wide receiver boom in pay, because the Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill seeing them give $20 million to
and
that
then
receiver. It's just
but the
it
Jags
just
though,
blew up
like
from there.
if they would have gone out and gotten like Tyreek Hill or Debo or hell even DK, like that would have
Yeah.
made a lot more sense to me than what they had done. But
Yes.
they overpaid. But that I think that was more just because nobody wants to play in Jacksonville. Let's be honest, even if you have Trevor Lawrence. So yeah, I have conflicted thoughts on wide receivers. I'm more partial to the strategy of the Denver Broncos of what they're doing of like, cultivate your talent, let them rise up through the ranks and rather than going out for free agent talent. But that's
You're
just
eventually
me.
you're eventually gonna have to pay them anyways.
And
And
that's
that's gonna
where
be
I'd
scary.
I'd be a Bill
Scary what they're
Belichick asshole and I'd
fucking-
be like, later, I'll pay this fucking tight end over here. So
So on that note, do you think the Rams should get rid of Cooper Kupp?
Ooh, they're gonna have to pay him a lot.
You just
yeah,
said you'd get rid of him. You'd pay this tight end over the wide receiver.
but like
Cooper Kupp was also drafted, right?
think about like say if you're the Buffalo Bills though and you had the picks to go out and get Cooper Kupp, like wouldn't you do that?
They
Wouldn't you
did that with Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
but like go out and
That's
get
a
Cooper
rare
Kupp-
one, but
get
they
Cooper
passed on
Kupp on
Justin
top of it.
Jefferson. So I mean, I don't know. Would you pay Cooper Kupp though? Is he worth it?
No, I wouldn't.
After the season he just had, you would not pay him.
I'm not gonna give a wide receiver a second contract if
So
I was
you're
a
gonna-
GM.
You're gonna just rely on the draft and just keep. So you're gonna keep them picks. You're not gonna use the same strategy that McVay.
It's just more like I know I can find a wide
Because-
receiver out there. Like
Because-
I know that there's plenty of options out there. Whereas like I've always said that like there's probably 4 or 5 great tight ends out there that if you get them, that's a position you'll never have to fucking worry about.
Yeah.
And you can just move on with your life. Whereas wide receivers, like you can kind of plug and play, like you can go out and find the Wes Welkers of the world and you can make them great depending on your system.
That's true. A lot of it does depend on the system, because it doesn't matter if you have some great wide receivers. If you don't
And
have
we've
any good
seen great wide receivers go to
components,
other destinations and be
Yeah.
terrible.
I mean,
Sorry,
a
Nick.
perfect example. Yes, seeing some of the wide receivers that have come down to Miami, they haven't performed as well as they did in other places. But you can say the same thing about a perfect example is Randy Moss when he played in Oakland.
Yeah, it's
Completely
the same
sucked.
thing.
Then he moves to New England and has record year. So
But even
It
looking
all
as
depends on the
recently as
situation.
somebody like Antonio Brown, where it's just like, nah, man, like that guy wasn't worth the second contract.
Yeah.
Whereas someone like and think about the Steelers at the time, they picked Antonio Brown over Emmanuel Sanders.
yeah.
And
They just had so many options in that, because that's Mike Wallace was there too.
Le'Veon
Yeah.
Bell as well.
Yep.
Santonio
and
Holmes.
then had Juju Smith-Schuster come up through the ranks. And so, yeah, that's once again to me, that's another case study of just, yeah, like wide receivers, they're out there. You can find them. Like, goddamn, I'm willing to bet you can find great wide receivers out there in like D2, D3 in terms of the draft, even undrafted talent out there. So yeah, like that's a position I'm not going to overpay for. And most likely you're not going to get a second contract, especially someone like Cooper Kupp. It's like, hey, yeah, you're great, but we accomplished the goal with you. Later,
So what would you do with these second rounders that are threatening to hold out? So they're getting to their last year of this contract. Tony, what would you do?
I think you do have to pay wide receivers now. I think
do you
that
though?
the Bengals picking Jamar Chase at 5 and not going with like a lineman, like a tackle to protect Burrow, and then like reuniting them and showing like the true value of what they can do. And the first round gives the 5th-year option. So maybe more wide receivers will get taken in the first round now, so they don't have to get to that second contract like you're talking about.
But they just kicked the can down the road, and then they had to overpay in free agency to get those same linemen on the squad.
No, they didn't. The Bengals didn't do that though. The Bengals were like discount O-line and all that, and they went for the hype. They went for the wide receivers. And
But that's what I'm saying. This year, though, in
year,
free agency, they had to overpay for linemen because
Well,
they
that's because-
essentially kicked that can down the road. Like like they still had to take care of linemen. Like they just made like a conscious effort at that moment of like, oh yeah, like we're gonna reunite Jamar Chase, which hey, like it panned out. Don't get me wrong, but they like still had to take care of that lineman issue, and then they had to overpay for it.
Yeah,
Which,
but even
like, to be
taking it-
fair, I'd rather overpay for a lineman than a wide receiver.
Interesting.
First round linemen don't always work out though. So I'm at the point that you might as well take that first round wide receiver and then overpay for the lineman out. Because at least with overpaying for a lineman, you're getting a proven lineman, not just someone coming out of college.
Yep.
Because I was hoping the best for Austin Jackson, taking him in the first round. But I think the Dolphins overreached on that, and hopefully they get some better production with the new O-line coach this year. So you never know.
I don't know. There's
Have you
plenty of bus O-line too.
Have you really seen though? Like I don't think I've really seen too many like wide receiver bust over
I
the
don't
years.
know.
Like I think for the most part, like even if you draft them in like say late first round, like you can make them work enough in that first contract that like you get your value out of them. Like really, like to me, the only one that comes to mind is like Darius Hayward-Bay of in terms of being a bust of because it was just like you got drafted like a round too high. Basically, you were like the Tim Tebow of wide receivers.
Okay.
The only other person I could think of in recent years that maybe was what was the Bears drafted? It was named Kevin White or something like that.
Okay. Forget. All right, let's get some actual information here. 2020 draft Henry Ruggs III, currently in prison, probably safe to say he's a bust.
Well, that's an easy one.
Billings
Like,
has
come
Jerry
on.
Jeudy. Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb. Then there's Jalen Reagor for the Eagles. Probably safe to say that he's pretty disappointing. Justin Jefferson, he's a star. Brandon Ayuk, pretty good as well. 2019, Hollywood Brown, N'Keal Harry, first round. 2018, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley. How's Calvin Ridley going? Pretty safe to say that pick was probably a bust, I would say, missing out on.
I'd say they got their value out of Calvin Ridley, though.
How?
They got the first contract. He played through the first contract.
He missed most of this year, and he got suspended for all of next year.
Yeah. But Billings isn't paying him anyways, so
all right.
you got use out of him.
The year before that, it's Corey Davis, Mike Williams, and John Ross. So I mean, 1 out of 3. It's not always that easy. So those are all first round picks. And the smart teams, the Packers and the Chiefs, they have those quarterbacks. Why are they getting off their number 1 wide receivers? Why aren't they paying them? Why are they like Chris Billings? Explain
Because
this
they're
to me.
cheap. Because they're cheap.
That's because they have to pay their quarterbacks.
Yep, it's a
Yeah.
quarterback town
Yeah.
there. They're like, they ain't fucking, like people ain't getting those wide receiver jerseys in
Nope.
Green Bay.
Interesting. So who do the Packers and Chiefs get to replace these weapons that they got rid of?
Like we'll see in the draft.
Yeah, they'll find some talent probably in the later rounds.
You don't think they're
Devontae
moving up?
Adams is weird though to me. Like to have a sidebar, like what happened there? Like to me, that's
Yeah.
weird. Of like, I figured him and Aaron Rodgers were lockstep. Like, but no.
Yeah,
Like-
I think the Chiefs should be able to not necessarily replace Tyreek Hill, but at least fill the body spot with having the 29th and 30th picks back to back in the first round. I think they take a wide receiver with one of those picks.
All right. Let's
And
go back.
I think
Wait.
the Chiefs realize also they have Travis Kelce. To my
Yeah.
point, like you have that position locked down. Like you can fill these other spots. Like I get it. Like Tyreek Hill is a different sort of animal. No pun intended, but like
I thought we buried the Chiefs and that was good and done. And now we've moved on here, and I'm trying to explain how.
no, we buried Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's clarify that.
Just throwing it up there.
So speaking of your Devontae Adams sidebar, you're telling me another wide receiver didn't like playing with Aaron Rodgers. Wow, this is shocking to hear.
But
Shocking.
they had like their little Instagram like buddy thing going on and stuff. And so I guess I'm naive. I'm old and naive. And I was like, oh, that's cute. Like if they're little Instagram buddies, they must be friends in real life.
Okay. I wanted to bring this up because this blew my fucking mind. The Packers have not drafted a wide receiver, running back, or tight end with a first round pick in 19 years. It is fucking insane that not one pick has been used on any of those players. Is this
Honestly, in my brain, like I don't ever see the Packers as having like first round picks for some reason.
I mean, the Packers' first round picks, when they do have a row, it's later in the first round, anyways. And it's the Aaron Rodgers factor. He can make any wide receiver better. Just his ability.
So you think the Packers are still going to be good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they'll be able to find both the Chiefs and the Packers got a plenty of picks in return for their receivers that they traded away. So I think they'll be just fine.
Although I will say, if like the Packers had like the weapons that the Vikings had, like they would be back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Like, come on, man. But and that just kind of speaks to the like lack of intent sometimes with that Packers front office is like, man, if you just found like some of these guys that are just like right there in your own division, like be good.
I think that there's some wide receivers you have to pay. There's a couple that you have to pay, and I think Cooper Kupp is one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a prediction and say that Cooper Kupp gets paid before the end of the month. Probably like during the draft, after the draft. They'll find a way to pay him. He's going to get paid. He's too good not to get paid. He'll get paid for sure. I don't think that these teams are I don't think they're going to be the same. I think the Chiefs are definitely going to have a step back, And I think the Packers are going to have a huge step back. I don't think they're able to replace these weapons with however many picks they have.
The Packers are actually going to have to replace 2 wide receivers because Valdez-Scantling left as well.
And I don't know. So that's what. So if you're the Packers, why aren't you just like, hey, Seattle, here's 2 fucking picks. Give us DK Metcalf, and Aaron Rodgers has DK Metcalf for the next 5 years, or has Terry McLaurin for the next 5 years, or even AJ Brown. Like Deebo Samuel, he's a scheme dependent player in my opinion. I don't think that he's able to max out his ability on any other team other than the Niners
or the Dolphins.
I think we're going to see some draft day trades.
Maybe.
I think it's a possibility with these 4 second-round picks, just wanting new contracts. One of those players, if not multiple players, could get drafted or traded to either the Packers or the Chiefs.
I did just read this. This is unconfirmed rumors and murmurings. There could definitely be a grudge involved. Yes, there is a grudge involved. What do you make of this murmur and noise of the Titans moving off of Ryan Tannehill and looking for a quarterback in this draft?
Who are they gonna get? Like, I get wanting to move off Ryan Tannehill, but like, let's be realistic. Like, who are they gonna find that could like start like this season, game 1, and be as successful as Tannehill?
Baker Mayfield. What? Who said that? Who said that? Holy shit, he's just putting that into the atmosphere and universe now, and you guys are thinking about it.
And you would still have to pay Baker Mayfield as much money as you would Ryan Tannehill.
Exactly.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I would take Tannehill over Baker Mayfield. If the money's the same, I'd take that. It's less drama.
Got a point.
I feel like he would be a better fit there.
I think Baker Mayfield ends up in Pittsburgh.
Interesting.
I don't see how. Why bring in
or Seattle?
Jacoby Brissett, yeah, or Seattle. I can see Seattle as well.
So where does Jimmy G go?
He's gonna stay. Yeah,
he's gonna stay in San Francisco.
No, they're getting rid of him. Yes.
I don't think so.
Someone's taking him. Probably Carolina.
Like if they had the chance to get rid of him, they would have got rid of him last season. Like Trey Lance doesn't seem to be the guy.
Yeah.
I think they just played their hand poorly. And they just kept waiting for like a better offer. And then
Kyle Shanahan played his hand poorly.
No, John Lynch played his hand poorly. Let's get that correct. John Lynch played his hand poorly.
I doubt that.
Yes, I think that they just like kept waiting and waiting, and they made that deal with Miami, and they moved all the way up to get Trey Lance, and there was all these Mac Jones smoke screens and all this bullshit going on, and they kept waiting, and they're like, we're going to get a second rounder for Jimmy. We're going to get a second rounder. I swear we're getting a second rounder. And then this quarterback carousel happened, and Russell Wilson went here, Matt Ryan went over there, and then everyone all of a sudden got their seats filled, and then Cleveland went and got Deshaun, and everyone was like, oh shit. And then Houston's like, we're going to rock with Davis Mills. Sorry. So like, I think that they just like overplayed their hand, and I think that they're just like, fuck, what do we do now? Like there's literally no market for him. Who's going to get him?
If Jimmy's dealt, it'll be after the draft. It'll be to one of these teams that's needing a quarterback that didn't feel they got the right selection with it.
The one team he would fit is in their own division, Seattle. Yeah. So like,
yeah, and I don't know about them doing that trade.
Like Jimmy G would have been Pete Carroll's wet dream.
Yeah, I just don't see them trading a quarterback within the division.
They won't, but like that's where he would have fit.
Yeah,
like Atlanta went and chose Marcus Mariota, and they didn't even want any part of this like trade part of like, they're like, Baker Mayfield, no. Sam Darnold, no. Jimmy G, no. Thank you. Give us Marcus Mariota. We'll try again next year. I don't know. Interesting to think. Jimmy G in Pittsburgh to compete with Trubisky.
No, he's
Yeah,
not
I
a
don't see
fit in
that.
Pittsburgh.
I don't see that. Yeah, no.
So Baker in Carolina? Look at you.
So they can have Jesus, Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, like after having also just Cam Newton on the team. Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like there's going to be some type of trade between them, the Niners and the Panthers. The Panthers have no draft picks, so they're fucked. And like, I don't think that these quarterbacks are good enough in the first round for them to pick.
Panthers have to get rid of Christian McCaffrey, and
And-
like unfortunately they did that a year too late.
Yeah.
Like, and now the guy has no value.
What would you trade for Christian McCaffrey in this draft?
I think you could probably get maybe 2 seconds.
No,
Billings.
I say a third and a fifth.
Third and a fifth.
I think you could get 2/3. I think you get 2/3. And I think if you got McCaffrey in the Niners, that would be nasty in that scheme. I could see that trade happening where they send Jimmy and picks and all that.
But it would have to be a straight up trade because the Niners don't have any picks.
Yeah, that's true too. They don't have any picks either.
The Dolphins hold their picks.
And
Yeah,
the
like
Texans,
why trade for Christian when you have Debo?
Yeah. I mean, there you go. You're gonna send Debo and Jimmy G to Carolina for Christian McCaffrey?
No, that's like
Dude, that would be a good
Debo's
deal.
better than Christian McCaffrey. I'm sorry.
no, probably, but that I don't know, man. That'd be a pretty
That's
good deal.
not
I
a
could
good
see it
deal.
happening.
That's a terrible deal.
Got it. You don't want to pay Debo.
Like only if you're getting like Christian McCaffrey and like Sam Darnold would that like maybe be like a 1-for-1 type scenario.
What if you get that 6th pick? A top 10 pick with Christian
No.
McCaffrey? Look at
No.
Nick's thinking about it now.
I'm
I've
thinking
sold
about
Nick
it.
on it now. He's like, okay,
I'm thinking
okay.
about it because then Carolina's got to pay Debo. They got a quarterback.
Yep. And then
I
the
like it.
And
Niners
they
can-
really haven't improved with that deal.
No,
It's
they
like they're
haven't.
the same team.
Pretty much.
All right. Bro, probably right. Okay. All right. Let's wrap it up here. Let's wrap it up. Do you guys have any concerns, any predictions for the draft? Anything you're looking forward to? Do you worry about any of the teams in your divisions making any moves where you're like, oh, okay, oh snap, what's going on?
I definitely don't worry in my division because all the teams in my division have basically like made their moves already. So we're all in the same boat where it's just like, yep, like just like this is icing on the cake for the Raiders maybe the Chiefs could, maybe get an embarrassment of riches, but like Raiders, Broncos, they're moving onward.
Yeah.
Nick?
I feel the same way about the AFC East. I mean, Buffalo's made their moves. The Patriots are the Patriots. The Jets are the Jets. So sit back, enjoy the draft. Might see some draft day trades. You never know. Should be fun.
NFC East sucks. All the teams in that division are bad, including the Cowboys. They're fake, phony team. You guys don't want to be fans of this team. You pretended like you wanted to be fans last time. And in that time, scandal after scandal has just unraveled on this team. Can't get a fucking contract with Randy Gregory. Jerry Jones has some secret love child that's like suing him for millions. Like,
That lawsuit was dropped, by the way.
All right. Some good news. People talk to me about the Zeke deal every day. Like I signed it. Like I was the one that fucking offered that deal to him. All right. And Zeke was actually playing really goddamn well before he got injured, like the first month of the season. I will say that. That's my defense of that. Still a terrible deal. But yes, the Cowboys they'll probably nail this draft, get a bunch of great players. And the same shit will fucking happen to them again next year. And they'll be ready for Sean Payton in 2023. Speaking of Sean Payton, I want to hear Nick's thoughts on that wild scheme about Sean Payton, Tom Brady taking over the Dolphins. Give me some thoughts on that.
I mean, that may have been the initial plan after the Flores firing, but I see that fire, I believe, has been put out. I don't see Sean, like, why hire Mike McDaniel if you're going to replace him the following year with Sean Payton? I think it was an initial thought that Stephen Ross had after firing Brian Flores, but I think that issue should be put to bed now.
Circling back, Billings said wide receivers don't matter. First thing Tom Brady did when he left the Patriots was go to a team that had awesome wide receivers. Talk to me about that move, Billings.
Tom Brady didn't have to pay those wide receivers. That's the difference, man.
Fair enough. He's got some mumbo jumbo going on with his contracts there too.
Also, dude got a coach fired. Let's not forget. Making deals at soccer games, getting coaches fired.
Allegedly.
Oh, sorry, promoted. My bad.
Promoted.
It was promotion.
Promoted. All
It's
right.
like when
all
a
right.
cop gets a desk job.
Bruce Arians, you're the latest victim of Chris Billings' burial scheme over here. Bruce
I
Arians-
didn't bury him. No,
you just watch Tom Brady bury him?
that body is buried in Giselle's backyard, not mine, man.
Oh, Bruce Arians. Wow. All right. I guess that's enough NFL chatter here.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and pick this back up after the draft and after all these draft day trades and moves have happened, and we'll see what goes on with the wide receivers. And we'll see who gets paid and how many get drafted, and we'll bring you your thoughts on that. Everyone, thanks for watching. Subscribe, view, click, follow. These are the buttons right here. You can follow me on the Twitterverse at Tony Parlay. I've got Nick Kerr. What's your Twitterverse handle right there?
My Twitterverse is recently changed. I'm going to be now at Chia. Like, follow, subscribe. Thank you.
Billings, what do you want to shout out?
Check out at Billing Space if you want to see movie or TV reviews. Check out Sports Desk BS if you want to check out sports stuff.
There you go. And we are the Sports Buds, everyone. Thank you for watching the latest episode of the NFL show.